Welcome to the new stage of history.
All right, thank you. Settle down. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. Appreciate the respect. It feels good to be back to give you all more Bleach reviews. Of course, with episode 1 of season 3 of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. But before we get started, I gotta say it. Everybody, what is going on? It's me, Captain Roger. We are live action. You already know what it is. So, of course, I'm gonna just go ahead and get things started. They actually started things out with a recap. Yeah, a recap that we didn't need, nor did we ask for. Now, some people, maybe they did need a recap, but for the ones who actually needed the recap or wanted the recap, they probably could have, if they haven't already done it, go back and watch season 1 or season 2, or maybe the last episode of season 2 just to get caught up. But the good thing is, within the recap, they actually showed us some new footage exclusive to the anime. Of course, we see Yodorichi, Ichigo, Chad, Ganju, and Orihime making their way up to the Soul Palace, and they can sense Senjumaru's Bunkai. And of course, Ganju and Orihime, they were very positive about the fact that, yeah, maybe they can stop the Quincy's, and of course, Yuha. And verbally, Ichigo agreed. He was letting them know, yeah, with my powers and this new getup, yeah, I got it from the Squad Zero, and they're on a whole nother level. But in his face, he was just kind of doubtful, like, I don't think they're going to be able to beat Yuha. So once the recap finishes, thank God, because this took up too much time. I believe 8 minutes, or maybe a little bit over 8 minutes. So throughout the rest of this episode, we do see some things that were different from the manga, as usual, and that's perfectly fine. Now, in the manga, we see Hashwath explaining to Uryu regarding how the 9 days are finally up. Bach has his power. He opened his eyes. But in the anime, of course, we see him explaining that while he's, still caught up in Senjumaru's Bunkai. But I noticed when Bach came back, you see the beam of light, the Reishi light. You actually seen the rest of the Star Knights, the 4 Horsemen. They were actually being resurrected, or Senjumaru's Bunkai is being canceled out because you've seen the Reishi particles just gleaming over them. One thing I noticed is that out of all of them, they all seemingly got dropped or died. But Hashwath, while he was being engulfed in flames, they just showed his silhouette. You didn't see him drop. I mean, at first he was swinging, he got the sweet pose, but then it just showed the silhouette. So maybe, I don't know, out of all of them, he's at the strongest blue vein. I doubt it. I'm just giving out a little fan theory because I guess they wrote it that way because, he's the one who has to still be standing so he can explain the 999 thing. That's the whole thing that I was noticing. And also, I noticed they changed Bach's Reishi sword. In the anime, he actually stabbed Ichibe with the same sword he killed Old Man Yama with. In the manga, it looked way different. I actually like the way it looked better in the manga, but hey, that's just me. Now, we do also get some extra new footage with Bach fighting Ichibe. We see Ichibe actually trying to land strikes on Bach, and Bach, he can just see it. He told him, I can see in the future, I can see every move you're going to make, etc., etc. But I like the little touches they added, because right before he's ready to swing, it would zoom in on his eye. You would see that different lens over the screen. You could hear the doo-doo, and he'd just already be here, and Ichibe is just missing nonstop. So it makes up for the fact that this episode felt really fast. I'm going to talk about that later. And the damn recap, we finally cut to Uryu versus Senjumaru. This right here was a good fight. I kept thinking about this ever since the last episode of season 2. I kept wondering, how is this going to play out? And most of it, I was right. In the end, he used the antithesis, but before he did that, you could see, of course, it looked like the same blue vein pattern coming out of his eyes. I think his eyes turned red while that was happening. And man, the fight between these two was so good. The way Uryu was dodging all the pieces of fabric, and it seemed like, damn, Senjumaru's Bunkai is just crazy, man. It seemed like Old Man Yama and the rest of Squad Zero, and we haven't even seen their other Bunkais. We just seen Ichibe's and Senjumaru's. God only knows what theirs can do, because Old Man Yama, this motivator, is summoning the dead, and she's doing things I never thought she could really do. Like, I guess it kind of makes sense after seeing how she took out the 4 Horsemen, but it's like she summoned lava, of course, chunks of ice, more fire, everything. And Uryu, it seems like it was just healing automatically upon touch, sort of like I could be getting this wrong, trans shift armor from Gundam Seed, where it activates upon contact. So maybe that's what that was. I could be wrong. And clearly Senjumaru, she gives zero about these Quincy's, including Uryu, letting them know, like, look, there's nothing left for you to inherit. Like, I'm going to make sure all your kind is gone and wiped out. And I noticed that she was talking to Uryu. You've seen another piece of fabric come down, and it had holes in it. And what's crazy, she started dropping out hollows out of the damn holes. You know, holes, hollows, get it? It was on the fabric. And to me, that was a little bit more than old man Yama raising the dead. I mean, I'm not saying like in a bad way, but it was just crazy. I was not expecting that. And another thing that threw me off was the fact that Uryu, he did take out a lot of those hollows, and within the hollows were just fabrics. And you know, one tugged on his ankle, pulled him down, and he was wrapped up, and he was just strung up by the fabric. And at that moment, I was thinking to myself, yeah, this is when he's going to do it. This is when he's going to do it. And of course, she just goes right over to him and uses her Shikai, which I think is cool. The Bankai is activated and also doing the Shikai. And she took that needle. Just, you know, she said it only hurt a bit. And when she did it, you see that one drop of blood. All right, moving on back to Ichibe versus Bach. So in the manga, when I first read this moment, I thought it was just like a incantation. I mean, in a sense it is, but he was singing it, and it was pretty cool. You know, I found myself humming it after I watched the episode. But yeah, I didn't know he was singing it. So when he did all that, I noticed they added in some additional footage, which I did like, because this was not in the manga. As all the black was getting absorbed, you can actually see Bach. It looks, correct me if I'm wrong down below, it looks as if he can't move. He tried to move his feet, but it looked like the blackness was just holding him down or whatever. But I like that they put that in there, because we see this so many times. It's like a staple throughout so many series. An enemy is either charging up and screaming for like 8 episodes, or they're giving this long, drawn-out monologue and speech, and the enemy is just standing there, or their opponent, and they can just strike. So the fact that they showed that Bach was trying to move or get out the way, but he couldn't, I like that, because if I'm fighting to the death, you're my opponent, I'm not going to stand there and let you just summon this, charge this up, or just start singing and dancing. That's just me. However, I know Bach, he wouldn't have cared anyway, because he could already see in the future. I did like that. So I like how they actually also extended the animation of the mausoleum getting summoned. I did like that. And also, one thing that wasn't in the manga, we see it looked like this filter went over the screen a little bit. You can see Bach and Ichibe, they had a red outline around them. That I did like. I found that to be interesting. So upon me also reading that for the first time, I was wondering, what did it do, or what was it about to do? You know, like, well, he kind of explained it, but he didn't, because I wanted to see the actual effect. Sort of like when Aizen, I forget the name, Aizen, he did the one Keto spell, summoned the dragons, and he was dashing forward. I wanted to see what it was going to do, and we never got to see it. But maybe we get to see it, you know, in the next curve, the final curve. But they actually added that new thing in here where we see Ichibe, he was dashing, thrusting forward at Bach. That wasn't in the manga. In the manga, after Mausoleum just got summoned, bam, he blew him up. Speaking of blowing him up, it was real fast, you know. See, that's why a lot of these things I just don't watch. I don't watch it one time, like, oh, let me do the review. No, I don't do that, because there are some things you can miss. You know, you can't, because I watch it, while yes, I take the mental notes, etc., and I'm enjoying it. But then when I watch it again, I really, really hone in and watch and focus on the extra details. So one thing I caught when he went to blow up Ichibe, it looked like it did that almighty thing again, where it just and you see that quick filter. But the filter they showed, it was actually the panel from the manga of him exploding. Then we see, bam, him exploding to pieces. I'm glad they showed the whole thing. I wasn't too surprised. I mean, hell, I forget his name. If you're watching this, I'm sorry. He messaged me on Facebook. He said that he was surprised they showed him blow up, and I said, you know, due to censorship. I said I wasn't surprised. He already said it wasn't going to be censored, and I believe it was Apache, I think Kerr 1, when she back knuckled that Quincy and his whole head exploded. You know, so they kept that in there. I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna just keep everything in here. So yeah, R.I.P. Ichibe. Then we cut back to Uryu versus Senjumaru, and this part right here, I love what Uryu said, especially how it adds up with the antithesis. How I believe it was along the line, she was basically saying like, you're crazy, or you're a fool, you're reckless, you're still trying to fight while my Bunkai is still active, or while you're still caught up in my Bunkai. He said, no, you're the crazy one. I think it's you who's caught in your own Bunkai. And he reversed it. That's exactly how it works. Is she was caught up in her own fabric. And is it me, or is this Uryu's final holy form? Like you see the Reishi particle wings coming out of his back. The effects look very good. A lot of the effects in this episode look good as expected. And at first when I seen it, I thought it was underwhelming. Like, yeah, but I just like the effects on them. I mean, some of the other Quincy's, their wings, their designs, I don't really care for, but Uryu's, it actually fits them, because I'm like, man, I knew his wasn't going to look too crazy or weird. It had to just be either basic or kind of sleek or stylish or fitting to his character, because I'm still wondering the same thing with Hashwas. I really do hope we see his. I hope we do. But anyway, yeah, she was strung up in her fabric, and he took the one arrow. And I also like to take it back a little bit when he was, I believe, taking on the Hollows. When he had the bow, real quick, you can see him form the arrow, the Reishi arrow. Normally, he pulls it back, but he had the bow in his hand. He just, bam, shot her right through the heart. Took her out. That one arrow. And what's crazy about that is, man, the power boost he received. You can always say this was because of Bach. Say if he didn't drink the blood of Bach, Uryu would not be strong enough to hang with her at all. The fact that his one arrow, just come on now. But we all get it. And after she died, of course, I think this is Uryu's first time using it in battle, so it took a toll on. I mean, he was looking at his fist, eyes was, and he got down on one knee, so he had to maybe get used to it, or maybe it's taking a toll on his body. And then we see the nice visuals of Senjumaru's Bunkai fading away. We see the threads of the fabric just fading away. It looks real good. And of course, this part right here was the best looking part to me. When Bach, of course he broke the seal. And when Bach started breaking down the pillars, the Reishi particles in form, the steps walking up to the Soul King. Yes, he's made steps before, but this was the sweetest way he's done it. Of course, this was not in the manga as well, so these actual extra little bits of detail, I really love and appreciate that they put this in the series, man, because the way the camera was turning, the music, everything was fitting. He could have just jumped up there, or he could have flew up there, but nah. He did it just a boss badass way, just breaking down the pillars, walking up there. And yeah, we arrived to the Soul King, and we all know what happens next. And yeah, it cut to the credits. And I'm thinking to myself, that was it? That can't be it. Why was it so short? Why? Like, come on now. But of course, it was a mixture of two things. Them adding in that recap and the fact that the after credits scene, they could have put first, then the credits, but they did it in reverse. They put the credits and then the after credits scene. Now, in this case, they should have just swapped it to make it feel that much more longer. Yes, the new credits are cool, but they've done this in Cur 1 and Cur 2. So moving forward, as you all probably know, if not, I recommend you all skip past the credits, or unless you just like to watch them each time. But when it goes off, just don't exit out from wherever you're watching this, Disney Plus, Hulu, whatever. So just be mindful of that. But this after credit scene, of course, we see Ichigo and friends, they make their way up to Soul Society, not Soul Society, the Soul Palace. And in the manga, it was actually done in a comedic fashion, and I'm so glad they got rid of that. But in the anime, it was all straight seriousness, which I love. But also in the manga, when she seen Ichibe blown to bits, she ran over to him, saying, maybe I can heal you, and the guy was like, he's blown to bits. And I would have wondered if she actually could have reversed that. I mean, she did it with Chad, and she did it with, I forget her name, the one girl, not Ichigo, that Grimjaw messed up, Hoiko Mundo. I forget her name. But I also noticed that in the manga, you've seen the little black sludginess of Ichibe coming back, which I did like. They showed it a lot better in the anime. And of course, Ichibe goes on to give Ichigo the speech. You know, they say my name. Hey, I'm back, etc., etc. I don't need you to necessarily kill Bob, but just stop him. First time I read that, I was thinking, what? Don't kill him, but stop him? I wonder why. I know now, of course. So I do like the additional footage that they did show. They showed, you know, Ichigo's dad, you know, Ishin, his sisters. They show Hueco Mundo. They show Ichigo's friends. They show Soul Society. That's when Ichibe was explaining to him, like, hey, if you take out the Soul King, all the worlds, everybody you know and love will be gone and dead. You have to stop him. And also, they actually showed Shunsui walking up to Aizen. That was not in this chapter. That doesn't happen till chapters down the line. So I thought that was an interesting touch that they added in. And also, another thing I noticed was when Yuha was walking, you could hear the bells, ding, 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 and he actually brought that up to the Soul King, his father, and then that's when he stabbed him. Bam! We all know the rest. Into the series. I mean, into the episode. So, other than that, Elites, it was a pretty decent episode. It felt fast. That damn recap, that just threw a lot of it off. But next episode, I cannot wait. The rest of this season, I cannot wait. Looking at that end credit scene, there was some spoilers in there. In a sense, I know some of you who only watch the anime, you're looking at that picture of Ashworth grabbing that arrow. Like, wait a minute, who was that arrow from? Is it from Uryu? Is it from Basby? Is it from another Quincy? I mean, who knows? But I'm still excited for the anime only watchers because, man, y'all are in for a surprise. Y'all really are. Other than that, Elites, either season 4 is going to be really short or they're going to add a lot of new footage because it seems like this season they're going to cover a lot. And I'm thinking like, damn, you're going to go up to where? And I'm thinking like, what's going to be left for season 4? So it might be short, but you might get a lot of new footage. So other than that, give me your thoughts, comments, and concerns. Let me know if you were excited about this episode. Was it underwhelming? Were you mad about that recap? Let me know. Thanks for watching. It's me, Captain Ronzo Dace, signing out.